the forbidden insight, LSD, and the Nobel Prize-winning discovery of DNA. Francis Crick, the Nobel Prize winner who uncovered DNA's structure, used LSD regularly during that period and later admitted an altered state contributed to his breakthrough vision of the double helix. What if the very foundation of modern genetics began not in the lab but in a psychedelic insight that reshaped science? In this video, we'll trace how that vision connected to his later, radical proposal that DNA itself may have been a deliberate package from beyond Earth. Crick went on to argue that life was too complex to have started here by chance. Instead, he suggested that an advanced civilization may have sent the seeds of life across the cosmos to ensure its survival. His journey began with one haunting question. How could the shape of life itself first reveal itself? Not through instruments, but through the landscape of the mind. For Crick, that haunting question translated into an intense scientific puzzle: the structure of DNA itself. For years, researchers tried to crack it using microscopes and chemical techniques, but the molecule refused to reveal its architecture. The key eluded them, and Crick found himself doubting whether traditional methods alone would ever uncover the solution. Unlike his colleagues, he chose to take an unconventional path. Crick regularly used small doses of LSD, believing that ordinary consciousness might constrain his ability to recognize patterns. According to his own account later in life, it was during one of these altered states that he experienced an extraordinary vision. He described seeing two strands intertwined in symmetry, each base connected to its partner, forming the familiar spiral staircase we now recognize as the double helix. For him, this was not a vague daydream, but a vivid mental image with striking precision. This experience did not immediately convince others. Many within the scientific community saw such methods as unreliable, if not unscientific. Data and instruments, they argued, should be the only basis for truth. Yet Crick pressed forward, and when experimental evidence became available, it confirmed the form he had already pictured. The molecule that carried the essence of life, the genetic code itself, could be described in the terms he had first envisioned under LSD. In the end, his insight aligned with reality in a way that few could ignore. The implications are as unsettling as they are inspiring. If an altered state of consciousness helped reveal the structure of DNA, one of the most profound discoveries in history, what else might such states uncover about the information bound up within us? This was more than a scientific breakthrough. It suggested that the mind, when expanded, might be capable of accessing truths not otherwise within reach. Crick's discovery placed him in the pantheon of science and earned him the Nobel Prize. But even after this triumph, he continued to wonder whether DNA held deeper mysteries. Over time, that Nobel recognition became less of an endpoint and more of a beginning, leading him toward a new and far more audacious question about the very origins of life itself. Crick's next concern was far more unsettling: the sheer improbability of life itself. He had revealed the elegant structure of DNA, but the harder question remained: how could something so intricate have come into being in the first place? To him, the odds of DNA forming spontaneously out of the chemical chaos of early Earth seemed almost non-existent. He described it as comparable to a fully functioning airplane, assembling by chance from a storm sweeping through a scrapyard, possible in principle, but so astronomically unlikely as to defy belief. This line of reasoning did not settle the matter for Crick, but raised a new one. If spontaneous origin was that improbable, then perhaps life had not begun on Earth at all. In his later book, Life Itself, he put forward a hypothesis he called Directed Panspermia. The suggestion was bold. Life here might have been deliberately seeded by an advanced civilization elsewhere in the cosmos. Rather than waiting for luck, they could have intentionally sent out bacteria or genetic material aboard spacecraft, designed to withstand long journeys through interstellar space. These tiny travelers could survive harsh conditions and, upon reaching a fertile planet like Earth, begin the process of replication and evolution. For Crick, the vast timeline of the universe made this notion conceivable. The cosmos itself was far older than our world, around 15 billion years since the Big Bang compared to Earth's 4 billion. This immense difference offered an enormous head start. Over billions of years before our planet even existed, other civilizations could have arisen, mastered biological engineering, and developed the technology to launch such seeding efforts. By framing life as a purposeful transmission carried across the stars, Crick provided a striking alternative to chance-based origin theories. He did not present directed panspermia as proof, but as a scientific hypothesis worth consideration. At the very least, it underscored the extraordinary complexity of DNA and highlighted how unlikely its structure was to have assembled unaided. More provocatively, it suggested that the molecule might not just be a product of earthly chemistry, but part of a larger design. And if DNA was deliberately delivered here, another question emerges. Could it have been intended to carry more than just the instructions to build a body? Could it also conceal deeper layers of information, patterns, codes, or even messages hidden within the very structure of our cells? The idea has a name: the cosmic message in our cells. Today we know through laboratory experiments that DNA has an astonishing capacity for storing information. Scientists have already encoded books, images, music, and even short videos into synthetic DNA strands, treating it as a biological hard drive. Its information density is so high that it challenges every storage technology we currently use, and unlike disks or drives, DNA can last for thousands of years if preserved correctly. This shows us that DNA is not only the language of biology, but also an almost limitless storage medium. But here the story takes a more speculative turn. Only about 3% of our genome codes for proteins. The remaining 97%, once dismissed as junk DNA, has proven far more mysterious. Instead of being meaningless, some researchers now argue that these non-coding regions may hold vital roles, and perhaps much more. Studies have uncovered structural patterns in this non-coding DNA that resemble linguistic systems, complete with features comparable to grammar or punctuation marks in written text. Mainstream science does not accept that these patterns encode messages, but a number of researchers suggest this possibility, treating junk DNA as a potential archive or message left by whoever or whatever may have shaped the code of life itself. If that hypothesis sounds bold, consider the analogy. Just as humanity has sent records and capsules into space, conserving fragments of our culture for distant discoverers, an advanced civilization might have embedded a time capsule directly into the fabric of life. Instead of a golden record riding on a spacecraft, the message could lie silently folded within the double helix, transmitted to every generation through the act of biological inheritance. Here is where Francis Crick's earlier journey returns. His willingness to explore altered states of consciousness, using LSD to gain new perspective, set a precedent for others who now speculate that decoding DNA's hidden layers might also require expanded perception. Crick's use of altered states and the idea of DNA as more than a biochemical program together suggest a doorway. Perhaps shifts in consciousness reveal patterns normally beyond our reach. Francis Crick's journey shows how scientific discovery can intersect with unconventional ideas. He credited altered states with opening his mind to the structure of DNA. Later, in his book Life Itself, he proposed directed panspermia, the possibility that life was seeded here deliberately, a view still considered outside mainstream origin of life studies. More recently, scientists have shown that DNA can store vast amounts of data, while much of our so-called junk DNA remains largely unexplained. Taken together, these threads raise a compelling what if. What if our cells hold more than instructions for life? Do you think altered states or untapped regions of DNA could conceal deeper insights or information? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might open a new angle for others too. And as you reflect, consider this. What hidden stories might already lie written within you, waiting to be read? The official story is that DNA was discovered in a lab. But what if the real story involves altered states and cosmic messengers? The truth is often stranger than fiction. If you're ready to question everything you think you know about science and history, then join our channel. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the secrets they don't teach in school. And give this video a like. It's a signal, a little packet of information that tells the algorithm you want more content that transmits outside the box.